Demon Clone, Art for Monologues. Welcome. Glad to be here with you. A word. Fluoride. It's a substance put in our water supply, our drinking water, across America. And not all states do it, I think, perhaps, right? Because they've given their census. And they've decided not to poison the American people anymore, or at least the citizens of their state. Yep, fluoride, poison. Now here's the thing. We know fluoride is not good for people. We know it is a harmful substance. We know that the government has no authority to put it in our water to medicate us in mass, because the government has no authority to medicate us if fluoride actually were or did have medical value, which it doesn't. There's plenty of evidence, studies, etc., done that prove that fluoride is harmful, that it does not prevent tooth decay. And I'm living proof of that. Fluoride. So let's just, there's plenty of information on the internet, so you don't need for me to tell you everything about fluoride and the situation in America about that in regards to fluoride in our drinking water. I'll just touch on a couple of points. According to reports, the Nazis used fluoride to dose the people in the concentration camps under the Nazi regime for the purposes of keeping them docile or making them docile and therefore easier to handle. If you're docile, you don't particularly fight. You don't resist. You're too docile to resist. And you become a victim. Or more of a victim than you already were if you find yourself in a concentration camp during the Nazi era Germany situation. So, if that's true, and I have some documentation, it's on the internet, I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is. Do your own homework. Don't be lazy. Do it yourself and then you'll believe it. I'm not asking you to take my word for it. And if you can provide evidence that I'm wrong, that my conclusions are wrong, that my observations are inaccurate, you are certainly welcome to present that argument, that factual argument, that argument that produces evidence that proves that I am wrong. Enough on that. The point is, fluoride is a dangerous substance. It can cause brain damage. It can cause physical health issues in people. And the government has no authority to medicate us. So if they're medicating us, if that's their excuse for putting fluoride in our drinking water, then they are wrong and they are committing a crime. And I would go so far as to say a crime against humanity. Because they're harming some part or a large amount of people in society, American society. This according to all the evidence, all the facts that I can find, and everything I've read, everything I've seen, and it's on the internet. I saw it, you can see it too. All the evidence says fluoride is very bad, very dangerous, very caustic, poisonous, can cause brain damage and physical damage to human beings. If you put it in your body, the tube of toothpaste that you use, if you use toothpaste, and I don't, I use baking soda and a touch of peroxide, and that works very well. And it won't cause brain damage. At least I have seen no evidence to support the concept or even the premise that baking soda can harm you. And if it did, that's beside the point. They're not putting baking soda in my drinking water. Another thing to consider here is the fact that the government is doing this. The government should know, unless they're like total blooming idiots, that fluoride causes problems and it's not safe. Oh, toothpaste. You have a tube of toothpaste. Look at it. See down at the bottom where it says that, ingesting this toothpaste, if you do, and there's a qualifier there, which doesn't mean shit, but there's a little qualifier in that statement that says, like, if you eat an excessive amount or more than is needed to brush your teeth, then, call a poison hotline immediately. I repeat, point. Call your poison hotline immediately if you ingest more than normally needed to brush your teeth. Why is that on there if it's not true? Well, there's a lot of things on labels that aren't true, but that's the point. What are you going to do about this? The government is wrong. The government is committing a crime, a heinous crime. The government is lying to you. The government is filling your head full of propaganda to get you to actually drink the fluoridated water, which will give you an excess of fluoride in your body can create the disease or disorder called, what is it, fluoridosis? Trust me, I don't want that. And trust me, you don't want it. So, moving on. They're putting it in the water. We know they're putting it in the water. We know they're wrong. We know that we don't want them to. We know it's not doing any good for anybody at all, period. We know it's harmful to people, particularly children. We know this because the reports, studies prove that it's true. And I want to point out here, by the way, that I don't accept every report that comes across my desk. I don't accept every report I read about on the internet. I don't just take people's word for it just because they say it. Just because they might be somebody that I know to be an honest, truthful person. Still have to consider it. And you need to consider it. I'm sure this is not the first time you've heard about fluoride in drinking water being a bad thing. I'm sure you've heard it before. Duh. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe this is the first time you've ever heard about the fact that fluoride should not be in our drinking water for various reasons. One being it's poison. And two, oh, by the way, just for the sake of it, I'll point out that they put chlorine in our water as well to kill germs so that we don't die from dysentery or whatever disease might be in the water. Small amount of chlorine. Now, this is not about chlorine, and it's not about chlorinating our water. That's a subject that should be investigated as well. I mean, if they were putting DDT or gunpowder in our drinking water or something like that, you would be outraged. Because there's no benefit to drinking water with freaking gunpowder in it. Though I imagine the government would come out with something like that and just swear by God that it's good for you. Heck, they even tell you that there's arsenic in cigarettes. I mean, a lot of people smoke cigarettes. If they can take caffeine out of things, if they can take the nicotine out of a tobacco leaf, I'm pretty sure they can take arsenic out of the cigarette. That's my opinion. I said pretty sure. Pretty much the same process, isn't it? Take something out of something. Fluoride, not good for you. And the government is lying to you, and you're just allowing yourself to be duped by these murdering bastards. The same people that put fluoride in our water. No, I don't mean the mechanics down at the water plant that actually dump some in to the tank, though they are collaborators with the enemy. I'm guilty of being a party of the damage that fluoride does to people. Yeah. Why call it a crime against humanity? So, fluoride, not a good thing. Why is it in our water? Why would it still be in our water? We have information of how it got put in the water in the first place, and why people believe it's all right to drink that water that's been contaminated with fluoride. Okay, scenario. Suppose in your house there are two people, and one of those persons is responsible for cooking food for your supper. Now in my house we take turns. The wife and I, we take turns, and we different. I do it sometimes, she does it sometimes, and we both do it sometimes together. Make dinner. But suppose someone in my house was putting fluoride in my food, sprinkling fluoride onto my potatoes. And I knew they were putting it on my potatoes. I just know they do because I've seen them. Like, my wife is she's sprinkling, let's say, arsenic on my potatoes when she's cooking it, and then she puts it on the table, and I sit down and I, spoon some potatoes that are laced with poison, like arsenic or strychnine or morphine. Scoop it onto my plate, and I eat it. Now, who's the fool? Me? Well, yeah, I know it's bad for me. I know it's poison. I know it can harm me. And I'm going to dish out some of those potatoes and eat them anyway. Or maybe I'll just sit there and complain. I'm not eating those potatoes because I know you're putting poison in them. And suppose that's all we're going to have for supper. We're going to have potato soup for supper, and that's it. And you can add some crackers. But while I was making your potato soup, I poured in some, arsenic. And suppose my wonderful wife was to do it right in front of my face. And even have the bottle in her hand saying, arsenic, poison, don't consume this, and don't put it on your potatoes. And she does it, and I saw her do it, and I'm like, excuse me, I don't want you to put poison in my fucking potatoes. More potato soup. But she does it anyway. Now, if it was your house, and the only people in your house was you and your spouse was cooking supper and putting freaking arsenic in your food, what would you do? I mean, you can do something there, can't you? It's not like you got to take on the whole world. It's just one person who's putting poison in your food. And you know it, for a fact. And she might even admit it. I'm putting arsenic in your potato soup, sweetheart. So when you eat it, it's going to poison you and you're going to die, or whatever. I swear to God, people are that stupid that they actually say, yeah, you're putting arsenic into my food. It's got a salty flavor. No. I'll let you keep doing that. Day after day after day after day. boggles the mind. So in that case, in that scenario, and let's say it's me, and I see my wife putting poison in my food. A known poison. What do you think I'm going to do? One, I'm not eating the fucking potatoes. But that's all we're going to eat. Then you'll starve, right? Of course, because I'm not going to eat poison. Be insane. That's like somebody pointing a gun in your face and saying, I'm going to shoot you in the face and kill you. And you saying, that's wrong of you to do that. I don't want you to do that. And I would be very happy if you would just not do that anymore. Because you could hurt me. And I don't want you to hurt me. And I will have to act in self-defense and make you stop pointing a gun at my face. I would have to take the gun away from you. Or pull out my gun and shoot you in the face first before you shot me. Or something. You know, I would not just sit there and, oh, go ahead, shoot me in the face. I would not just sit there at the dining room table continuing to eat food that I know has been laced with fucking strychnine or arsenic or fluoride. Oops. Let's do something. It's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. Not even debatably wrong. It's just plain simply wrong. Period. Truth. Period. Truth. Wrong. It's a crime. I'm sorry. It's a crime. One, government has no authority to medicate anyone. Duh. Certainly not in mass and putting some medication in our drinking water. If, in fact, it was a medication, which it's not, because it has no medicinal value, it can only harm you. Fluoride cannot do anything good for you. The reports are clear on this. It has no nutritional value, and it has no medicinal value. Therefore, why are you putting it in my drinking water, and why am I letting you do that? Now, I had a spring that produced enough water, adequate water for the most part. And it was pure, clean water. It was coming out of the ground. It had been filtered through the whole mountain, basically. I drank it and it was good. And it was safe. And it had no fluoride in it. Now, I've heard somewhere about, fluoride is a natural occurring thing in nature, and it's in your, it's in the water in certain countries, apparently. I just want to say this. Why do you let them do it? Why do you not stop them? And this is something you can do. If it's your house and there's two people, you and your spouse is putting poison in your water, in your food, you know it, you saw it. You saw the bottle with the arsenic written right on it. And there you are. And what are you going to do about it? Well, one, I'm going to tell my wife, in this case, I would say to her, don't do that. Don't do that anymore. Ever. Stop doing that now. I mean, come on. You're listening to me talk. You're hearing what I'm saying. You can go on the internet and research it yourself and find all the proof you need that proves that fluoride is not good for human consumption. It's there. I found it. You can find it. Do your homework. I mean, that's what Google's for. Just Google up fluoride in the drinking water, or whatever phrase you want to use to get to that point. So what would you do? Do nothing? Would you just continue to eat the potatoes? No. You would stop that person from putting poison in your food. You would stop them by whatever means necessary. You would stop them. I mean, if you had nothing else to eat, if there was no place else to go to eat, and you just, I'm here and I can't go anywhere, I'm stuck. I live here and I can't leave the house. I have to eat whatever's in front of me, whatever's in the house. I got to eat the food presented to me by my spouse, who cooks it and puts it in my plate and hands it to me and puts it in front of me on the table. Well, for one thing, I'm not eating it because I know it's got arsenic in it. Duh. Second thing, I'm going to tell my wife, excuse me, lady, why are you doing that? And, stop doing it now. Are you following me now, people? You would say, stop it now. And you would mean it. And you would do whatever you had to do to make sure that your wife didn't put fucking poison in your food anymore. You would force them to stop if necessary. Now, I'm not suggesting you shoot your wife if you catch her putting poison in your food. That would be wrong. Unless she's trying to force it down your throat. Then in which case you could act in self-defense and shoot her in the face. I'm not recommending that. I'm just saying, as a scenario, as a hypothetical, you would be justified to protect yourself from someone forcibly trying to poison you to death. Self-defense is a human right. So, we get to the drinking water supply in your community. And they're putting this poison fluoride in your water. It's a known poison. We know it's harmful to human beings. We know it doesn't protect your teeth from cavities or anything else. We know this for a fact. If you don't know it, look it up. That's what Google's for. You'll know it. You don't have to take my word for it. All right. So now we have the water supply in our community, and we know they're putting fluoride poison in our water. We know that we go to the faucet and we, pour a glass of water and we drink it, and we're drinking fluoride poison. We know this for a fact. And yet, we don't do anything to stop it. We know it's harmful. We know it has no good effects. We know it doesn't have any benefits. We know it's just an intention. It's on the agenda of people who are fucking lunatics who are out to hurt you, kill you. Now, the guy working out at the filtration plant that, adds the fluoride to the water in the community, he's a naive idiot and he's a fool, and he works for monsters and criminals. Not us, but the city, for example, or the water board. And he's putting this poison in your water, and all our water, and we're all going to the faucet and drinking it, cooking with it, putting it on our bodies as we take a shower with fluoridated water, which could very well be absorbed through the skin. I don't remember reading any reports about that, but it's possible. All right. What are you going to do about it? You know it's a crime. You know it's illegal. You know it's poison. You know it's not good for you. You know it's not good for your children. Why would you let your child drink water you know has poison in it? Why would you do that? What kind of idiot would do that? I know someone's going to say, well, I can't do anything about it. I don't have any control over what they do with the water. It's your water, by the way. Duh. So what would you do with it? What would you do about that? I'm going to tell you what you can do about that. I'm going to tell you the only thing you can do about that, really. You could spend the rest of your life trying to get legislation through Congress banning fluoride from all of our food and drinking water. You could spend the next 30 years trying to do that if you have that kind of time. And I imagine there are actually lawyers that can do that. They can write up the papers, file a lawsuit, and seek redress of grievances against the government for putting fluoride poison in their water. They go through the court system and so on. That's fine. Should be doing that, yes. Do you know anybody doing that? Didn't think so. Every water board in America should be faced with a lawsuit for putting poison or fake medicine in our drinking water supply. Every town, every county, every state in the union should be bringing legal action against those people for putting fluoride in our drinking water, and they should be doing it every freaking day, every day, every day, every day, until they succeed. Until the government actually stops putting fucking poison in our drinking water. But what can you do? Well, you could join up with people like that, lawyers and so forth, and doctors that are intelligent and knowledgeable about fluoride, and say, let's go down to the water board or the mayor's office, wherever the water board might be located, and you say to them, direct to their face, all of you people in a group, because numbers gives you power, and you want to not really be a mob, and you don't want to really be a crazed mob. You can be civilized and demand the government stop poisoning you, and you can be outraged if you want. Perfectly legit and legal to be outraged when you find out that somebody is putting poison in your food or your drinking water. It's just, you have a right to be outraged by that, and you have a right to organize your neighbors and go down to the city board, water board, and demand they stop doing that immediately, right now, not tomorrow, not next year, not maybe. Do it now. Stop doing it now. Right fucking now. Now. You have the right to do that. You have the right to say that. You have the right to go there and demand that. It's your life, your body, your water. So why don't you do that? I will do that. I'm not going to go down to the city board, water board, all by myself and start talking to the person in charge of that all by my lonesome, because I might disappear off the face of the earth. I could be charged with something. I'm sure they'll find something to arrest me for. For exercising my human rights. They do it all the time in America. You know that every day. Hundreds, perhaps more than hundreds, of people are arrested every day for just defending themselves and standing up against criminals, traitors, monsters, tyrants, dictators, bullies, police state motherfuckers. But create a little organization. You can do this. Talk to your neighbors. Show them the evidence. You can get it on the internet, print it out, and hand it out to your neighbors. Or you can send them an email. Whatever. However you communicate with people that live around you. And say, hey, we've got to do something about this, and we got to do it now. Because this has gone on long enough. It is time to people to come to their senses and stand up for themselves, defend themselves against these people putting poison in their water. Go to the board. Go to the water board. Look them in the face. All of you. Get 500 people to go with you. 5,000 people, depending on how many people you're available to you in your town. Convince them, as you have been convinced, as I have been convinced. This is wrong. It is illegal. It is insane. And you go down and you tell the board, straight to the face, you're not going to do this anymore. You're going to stop putting poison in our water now. Not later. Now. Right fucking now. Period. Case closed. And if they refuse, arrest them. Make a citizen's arrest. And if you're lucky, in your town, you have police officers who are conscientious, intelligent, freedom-loving people. I know it's rare to find a cop like that, but still, it's possible. And in my case, I have no police officers in my community that I know of. Used to be one lived here, but I don't think he lives here anymore. My message is this. You can do something, and I have just told you one of the things you can do about the injustice, the unmitigated gall of people to put poison in your drinking water. All of our water, if you get city water, as I do. And you have a right to stop them. You have the right to make them stop by whatever means necessary, because they are hurting you, and you have a right to defend yourself. You have the right to defend yourself against people who are trying to poison you. Who are poisoning you, in fact. You have the right to self-defense. That means you can go to the board of water board and tell them, no more fluoride in our drinking water, period, case closed, end of story. Done deal, period. Case closed. Or you're going to jail. Because we're going to arrest you and charge you with fucking poisoning us. What would that be? Attempted murder? Yes, there's something you can do. Organize your neighbors. Try to get a lawyer and a cop involved in your organization. See, if you have some police officers on your side when you go down to the water board to tell them what they're going to do from now on because you're the boss of them, and it's your water and you have a right to do that, it'd be nice to have some cops on your side, even though, generally speaking, they're not the highest desirable human being on the planet. Oh, come on, face it. Every cop in this country at some point has or will violate a human right of another human being, which is illegal and a crime against humanity and, perhaps a capital crime. Particularly if he's a cop that shot some innocent kid in the back. Murder. So, what I'm suggesting here is, just do it. Organize, go in mass, go to the water board, tell them from this point on, no more fluoride in our water, case closed, end of story. And we're going to have people monitoring the water plant and to make sure that it's not done. We're going to stand around the water plant, us citizens, we have a right to be there. It is our property. It is our water supply. It is our water filtering plant. It belongs to us. And the people working there work for us. And we have a right to tell them, no more. So that's one thing you can do. Start small and grow. And hopefully you can recruit practically every citizen in your community to join you and become a force to be reckoned with. And then demand that the government stop putting fluoride poison in our drinking water now. And if they don't, then stand in front of them, between them and your water supply, and forcibly not allow them past you. Stand in front of them. There's the guy working for the water board, and he's got a tank full of fluoride, and he's going to dump it in the water supply. And you're there. Stand in front of him. Tell him, no, you're not. If you go anywhere near that water supply with that fluoride poison, we're going to hurt you. We're going to take the fluoride away from you and, shove it down your throat. Nah, a little too far, didn't I go? I went a little too far on that one. But anyway, you can stop them. Physically, stop them. Because you have a right to protect yourself from poison and people trying to poison you. So you can't say, nope, you're not. We're going to stay here. We're going to stand in front of you and between you and the water supply, and you're not going anywhere near that water supply with that fucking poison. It's not going to happen. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. You can do that. You have a right to do it. I know they will tell you you don't, but you do. I'm telling you do. And if you know anything about law and about how freedom works in America, well, how it should work, because it's a free country and it's supposed to be free, and you're supposed to be able to do free things, including protect yourself against people trying to poison you. If you're a man and you're living in a house with a woman, a wife, and she's poisoning you, you have the right to stop her by whatever means necessary, including throw her out of the fucking house. The equivalent of arresting her. Remove her from this situation so that she cannot continue to poison you. It's just common sense, really. It's not like brain surgery. All right. So I've just told you one thing you can do to stop monsters from putting poison in your drinking water. You can't claim to be helpless and hopeless anymore. You can't just say, oh, I'm only one man or I'm only one woman. There are a lot of people living in your community. Convince them of the truth. Show them the facts. Show them the evidence. Recruit them to your side. Enlist them in the cause of self-preservation for them as well as yourself. You can do that. And good luck to you. And when people in my county, my community, can be joined together, we will do that here. I'm working on that. I'm not going to go down by myself because they'll laugh at me or arrest me or kick my ass or whatever. They're not going to stop just because I tell them to stop, even though I have every right to tell them to stop, and they have every obligation and duty to stop because it's poison and it's not going to be in my water anymore. Something you can do. You don't have to do anything violent. You don't have to carry guns to do this. You don't have to shoot people. You can just do it. Say no, mean no, stand your ground, and prevent it from happening ever again by whatever means necessary. All right. That's the Fluoride Show. And to recap, you can do something. I'm giving you some ideas on what you can do. You have every right to do it. You should feel comfortable doing it. You should be exercising that freedom. You should be joining my organization, my charitable, freedom-loving, advocate for freedom organization called TAP, T-A-P, The Antigone Project, with some other words after it, exercising freedom advocacy, meaning I advocate for people to exercise their freedom and their rights. That's my job. So, there you go. Now, let's go out there and make this country safe for freedom again. And that's no reference to Donald the Lunatic Trump, by the way. All right. The end.